How is everybody doing today? I'm Devin Albertson here on the Weekend Sports Kickoff, joined today by Sean Nino, Ryan Elliott, and Trevor Mater. We just talked some Bearcat sports with Northwest Missourian sports editor Isaiah Swan, but now we're going to go into college football here, and we're going to start with last week's games as I fumble through this opening. Thoughts? First game, Oklahoma versus Ohio State. What are you guys' thoughts on that game? Oklahoma won 31-16.
I loved the game, but I didn't predict it because I didn't think JT Barrett would go and lay an egg, basically. He didn't play very well, and I thought he would. I was wrong in the pick'em, but I'm perfectly fine being wrong with that game because everybody else was.
Yeah, I was going to say I thought all of us got that one wrong, and I was surprised and impressed by Oklahoma's offense, especially late in the game, and the way that they played. I was impressed with their offensive line. Their offensive line, I thought, played really well against a tough Ohio State defensive line. But, yeah, I was a little bit disappointed in Ohio State because I picked them. But then I realized that, well, this was just pure revenge for Oklahoma this year.
Last time Ohio State won the national championship game, they got thumped pretty bad by an okay Virginia Tech team, and then turned around and went on a giant winning streak and snuck into the playoffs and got the win. So it's a really good win for Oklahoma. I think Ohio State's probably in more trouble than maybe we thought they were. But if you think about now, if they win out, which I don't think they do, but if they win out and win the Big Ten, your one loss is to Oklahoma. That's a forgivable loss.
And one thing I do want to say is that, and you mentioned, these are two evenly matched teams that Oklahoma just got the better of Ohio State that night.
Yeah, and I think we'll see that maybe the Big 12 shot itself in the foot adding the conference championship game because you have two teams that realistically, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, could meet and be 11-0 now that Oklahoma beat Ohio State. So they'll meet in the last week of the regular season, and then chances are they'll meet again in the conference championship game. You could have two teams with one loss.
What I'm saying there with that, though, is you'll have another quality opponent game, though, to add to your schedule, and that's what the committee likes to see there. And one thing that I'm going to say here, you said Ohio State when they won the championship the last time after losing Virginia Tech, that was also a weaker Big Ten. The Big Ten is really tough now, especially their division with Michigan with Harbaugh and Penn State with James Franklin. I think Ohio State finishes third in that division, so I think it's a moot point at this point. I think they're a really, really good 3-loss team, but a 3-loss team nonetheless.
Well, I think with that Big 12 championship game potential, and if both teams have one loss, if Oklahoma beats Oklahoma State in the regular season and then they turn around in the Big 12 championship and Oklahoma State then beats Oklahoma, who do you take?
Before we go any farther, getting off this one, I want to play a quick soundbite here from post-game Oklahoma-Ohio State. Here is the broadcast here. I'm not sure what channel. I think it was ESPN or ABC. ABC, so here we go.
Some of you might not love this, but this is authentic, and this is because of what he felt and his teammates felt with a home field loss a year ago. This is the 45. This is the 50. Oh, no, he's not. No, he's not going to plant it in the midfield of the O, is he? Wow. Yes, he is. Ooh. Looks like the Ohio State band has come out of their seats. They didn't like that. There's no one here to defend the O except the band. Wow. But if the Buckeyes in the locker room saw that, they might come out and take issue.
So that was Baker Mayfield playing the flag at midfield against Ohio State. I love it personally. I think it's just great, just back and forth between those two schools. I think it's great. I don't think he should have apologized a couple days later. So.
Well, I think he was forced to apologize, honestly. I think they were like, people are mad. You just go out and apologize, whatever, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I think he had to, and I don't think it was genuine. You just
no.
like, oh, I'm sorry.
It was definitely not.
Woo.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I thought it was perfect because you're the quarterback. It is your
leader
job
of the team
to fire this team up. And when you beat a team on the road that came into your stadium and beat you like a drum last year, you fire your team up. If you're Ohio State and you don't want them to do it, don't lose at home. Don't lose at home. If you're Baker Mayfield, I just made this place my house, and I'm going to let you know.
All right, a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk the picks for next week and our pick them, and we'll talk about what we did last week in the picks here on the Weekend Sports Kickoff. As we are back here on the Weekend Sports Kickoff, I am Devin Albertson, joined today by Sean Nino, Ryan Elliott, and Trevor Mater. We're going to do college picks, last week's picks. I have them right here. Myself, Ryan, and Sean all went 3-2. Joseph, our producer, he went 2-3. And Trevor, you went a nice and balmy 1-4 last week.
Yeah, when you pick Arkansas as the home team and they don't play good, and you go with the upset of Stanford over USC, and they don't play good. I'm telling you, if I would have picked USC, Stanford would have won that game. So you guys are welcome.
You also took Notre Dame, so it's your own fault.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
everyone
yeah.
but
I
you
did too. So
I took
I did that as
Arkansas,
well,
so
but
I took Arkansas, so I'm not perfect here.
let's go Horned Frogs. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, the picks this week. I'm trying to pick 5 games every week. This week is kind of a down week when it comes
Thanks,
to college
Hurricane
football.
Irma.
So,
Yeah, I was looking forward to Miami, Florida State.
Yep, not happening this week.
Not
It's going to be
anymore.
postponed until later on in the season. But now, our first game of the week, top 25 matchup, number 23 Tennessee at number 24 Florida. Florida is a 4.5-point favorite. Trevor, who do you got?
I've watched Florida's offense the last couple weeks.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it
They
really
didn't play last week.
Yeah, well, the first week, my bad.
They scored many points. They would have played anyways.
Yeah, it wasn't really that much of an offense. They're having some trouble there at quarterback. They're going to have their players that run suspended back there, right? That was just a one-game deal.
I think so.
So that's a plus, but I'm not sold on them. Tennessee did put up a lot of points against Georgia Tech. They beat Indiana State last week. Take that for what it is. I'm going to go with the Volunteers. Tennessee wins again, this time in Gainesville.
What about you, Ryan?
I've got the Volunteers as well. Again, I was also not impressed with Florida's offense. I know that they were missing 147 players or however many it actually was. It seemed
was
like
10.
It seemed like a bunch.
It was a bunch.
And so, they were missing a lot, but I still think Tennessee's offense looked really good against Georgia Tech and against Indiana State. But sorry, Sycamores fans, but it's not.
That's true.
That's
Yeah.
But Florida's defense is, I think, good, but not that good. And while Tennessee's defense didn't look very good against Georgia Tech, the talent's there. The pieces are there, and I think maybe it comes together this week for Tennessee. So this is pretty much a toss-up game for me because both teams are good, but I'm going to go with Tennessee.
Sean?
I'm going to go with the Florida Gators. I think I'm the only one that picked that, and I'm not going to lie. It was kind of because I saw,
Joseph did.
Joseph may have also taken it, but I did it because I saw that at least 2 or 3 of you picked Tennessee, and I was like, I don't want to go with the same grain, and I think Florida can win. I think they're going to play for people there. I don't know how many people are actually going to be there, honestly, but I think they're going to rally behind that and win, but there's also a slight feeling of they may not score, and this game could be like 30-0 and be a blowout. So...
Okay, so Sean, you're taking Florida, so is Joseph, but not so fast. I'm kidding. I'm taking Tennessee. And this one, another toss-up game, as Ryan said. I don't think either one of these teams are particularly any good because they have a lot of weaknesses, but it should be an entertaining game nonetheless, SEC matchup. So I got Tennessee in a close one. I think they at least cover the spread of 4.5 by Florida. I think it's too many points to give the Gators at home even. So Tennessee with the outright pick 'em. Next game, number 12, LSU at Mississippi State. LSU is an 8-point favorite. We'll start with Sean.
I'm going to go with LSU, even though we have X106 alumni Creighton Elwood down at the game. Probably break his heart that I'm going.
You know what
against
happened last time he went to a game at
They
Mississippi
beat
State?
Texas A&M, but I think LSU's a better team than that, and Texas A&M was a bit of a fraud last year. I don't know why they were ranked number 4. So I'm going to go with LSU.
Sure. Ryan.
I've got the Tigers as well. Mississippi State's a good football team, though. So this is a trap game for LSU. I know it's number 12 against an unranked opponent. People look at it and go, okay, LSU is just going to blow them out. This is a trap game, and I'm going to pick LSU, but you know what? If Mississippi State wins that game, I think I'm still going to be happy because that's, they're a dangerous football team, and it should be a fun one.
LSU. Darius, guys, stud. The one thing that does concern me with LSU coming forward, though, is they're basically a quarterback away from being on the same level as Alabama. I mean, Danny Etling.
I like Etling. I think he's
but
I
he's
think
a Purdue guy. When you
Hey, so's Drew Brees.
But if he's not good enough to play at Purdue at this moment, I like him too. I mean, he doesn't mess a lot of stuff up. I just don't know that he puts them in situations that necessarily helps them win games. He just plays not to lose. But I like LSU on the road in Starksville, even if Creighton's there.
All right, yeah, of course you have Mississippi State. They always have one upset a year that then makes no sense, like A&M last year. Both teams have rolled inferior opponents. Mississippi State, they always have one upset a year that then makes no sense, like A&M last year. Both teams have rolled inferior opponents to start the year. LSU beat BYU in Chattanooga by a combined score of 72-10, while Mississippi State has beat Charleston Southern and Louisiana Tech by a combined score of 106-21. But I still like LSU. Was it Mississippi State?
It was like third and
goal from the own 7.
Yeah, well, I mean,
against Louisiana
Tech actually had the ball.
Yeah,
It was them that had it. That was a weird play. If you guys haven't seen that, go check it out on anywhere on the internet. There was a kicked ball probably at least 3 times. I mean, I've never seen a and goal situation beyond like the 20
from inside your own 10.
Well, no, like
most of the time
like
when you
20,
see it though, it's like a penalty or something.
Yeah, but I've never seen it from your own 7-yard line.
I mean, how many plays do you have in your playbook for 3rd and 93? I mean, you can't have that many, can you?
The quintessential play is the backup tight end screen.
The best thing I pulled out of that was you're punting on 4th and goal. Has that ever happened
They
before?
have no chance to get to the first down
You
by
are
punting.
punting on 4th and goal.
It might get halfway to the first down marker, which
Seriously,
is the goal line.
like I don't know if that's ever happened. If anybody's ever punted on 4th and goal.
I think it may have happened.
Well, it has
but
now.
It's just, definitely has now.
Well,
but
think about it though. On 4th and goal, you have to lose
No, the fact that you're on 3rd and goal and you're
bunch of
You have
yards.
to lose at least 30.
Yeah.
and the fact that you're on 3rd and goal and you're afraid of getting a safety,
Yeah,
it's just
for real.
insane.
Yeah, okay. I don't think that's ever been said before this
So
game.
we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to go to more Bearcat Sports, hit the Bearcat Sports one more time here in this show in this hour. So we'll take a quick break here on WSK. It is the final segment on the Weekend Sports
That's how
Kickoff.
we're finishing things off.
Yes, we're finishing off nice and strong here. I'm Devin Albertson, joined by Sean Nino, Ryan Elliott, and Max Moore.
Absolutely.
You are on 106.7 KZLX LP, also on KNWT Channel 8, here for the Weekend Sports Kickoff, the final segment of the day and of the week here. And we're going to start with Bearcat football. Max, you were here for our first couple segments, so what's your opinion on the game that's going on this weekend up in Kearney?
Well, I know Nebraska Kearney is featuring a pretty new offense. They have a kind of a version of the triple
Spread triple option.
Right. It's funky. So,
is it fresh though?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I say it is.
See. Yeah. So anyway, they're gonna have a good time trying to go against that. They've had experience going up against the straight up triple option. So with the triple option, it's all about whose man you have and how you're going to coordinate that and how you're going to communicate that each and every single snap. So I know Coach Wright's going to have them ready for that. That's obvious. Something that you want to look forward to on the offensive side is how well the offensive line is going to play. If the offensive line continues to get better and more consistent, then they will find their way to score more points. I think it was this time, maybe last year and even the year before, maybe a few more games in 2015. But this is kind of, after a few weeks, they kind of find their rhythm. We found our rhythm on offense. So I think they certainly have the opportunity to find their rhythm against Nebraska Kearney, has some good young guys returning, probably, freshman to sophomore and sophomore to junior, but they're still a few years away from being somewhat competitive in the MIAA. So
with the big dogs.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Northwest goes in there, and obviously we said that against Washburn, but I think they go in and take care of business. I think they have the opportunity to get better, and I think the coaches have certainly stressed that you know what, we're going to get better. It doesn't matter who we go up against, whether it's Fort Hays,
yeah.
Ferris State, or Nebraska Kearney. They're going to go out there and they're going to give it their best shot. As Nebraska Kearney is going to. I think I read a quote from Marcus Jones or something in David Boyce's article saying you're going to get their 3 to 4 times better game than they would any other team. So they're going to get their game. They're going to get their best game. It's their Super Bowl. So Northwest will have that good competition going forward.
It is also Nebraska Kearney's homecoming. They won their home opener versus Missouri Western 14-3. They have their homecoming this week versus Northwest, and they're debuting some gold uniforms up there in Kearney. Tomorrow as well. So be interesting to see how Northwest can take on Kearney up there. Kearney, they have the number 1 rushing defense right now in the MIAA, but the 12th ranked passing defense. So a little bit up and down there for Kearney on the defensive end. So we'll see how Northwest can exploit that a little bit there on Saturday.
And I think, First of all, interestingly early homecoming.
Yes.
Homecoming's normally later in the year.
Especially when you're playing at the same time Northeastern State, the same time Northwest has their homecoming. You might have wanted to schedule the Riverhawks for your homecoming and not the Bearcats.
I just thought it was interesting how early the homecoming is. But I think you're going to see some confidence built here, especially for the Bearcat offense. Specifically, Zach Martin against a lackluster, to say the least, defensive backfield for Nebraska Kearney. But I think you'll also see some confidence built for that offensive line, as Max was talking about. I think they're going to continue to improve. They're going to continue to improve together as a unit. I think one of the things that a lot of people underestimate in football is how important it is for the offensive line to not work as 5 individuals but as one unit. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, is what's going to continue to improve for this Northwest team, and that will see the running game improve a little bit more, and it'll even see the passing game improve because this offensive line is going to continue to get better, and this will be a chance for them to build some confidence.
Sean?
Yeah, I mean, this game, I don't think it'll be close. I think I said earlier it was like 38-3. Yeah, I think that's what I said. And I think they will establish dominance. One question, who do you think is going to be the best offensive player this week? Is it going to be...
I'll go Bain.
I mean, that's a safe bet, and he hasn't really had the game that's brought him back to say, he hasn't had that big, huge game where he'll have 3, 70-plus yard, 50-plus yard, really,
Yeah.
But, I think that's a good choice. I am going to look for Cameron Wilcox to come back and, maybe have the team, establish the run a bit more. And, and then I think if they can get that going, then we can have Zach Martin just throwing bombs down the field.
All right.
I like Shane Williams. I think he's going to have a pretty good game, especially in the short to mid range passing game.
Very good possession receiver.
That's where he excels, and he has the speed to. If he breaks a tackle, he can get out on the run, and I think that's where he's going to have some success this week, is breaking the tackles from that Nebraska Kearney defensive backfield and finding yards after the catch.
I think I'm going to go with. Actually, I know I'm going to go with one of my good friends, Jordan Grove.
All right.
I think Jordan Grove is probably the best overall player on that offense. He can do a lot of great different things. Where Sean Bain, he can go out and get you speed. Jordan Grove, he can come stay in and block, and he can go out and get you some yards in the running game, the passing game. Obviously, he's a very
return game.
He's a dimension. He has a lot of different things he can do.
Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, he has a lot of things he can do.
Wildcat quarterback.
You saw in 2015 as a sophomore, he had what I always joke with him. I say, you're the MVP of the 2015 national championship game, and then it was like, because they sent his jersey to Children's Mercy Park, and they have his number immortalized at Children's Mercy Park. So I always give him crap about it, saying, you're immortalized at Children's Mercy Park. You're the greatest Northwest Bearcat football player to ever live. I always give him a bunch of crap, but he's a really good player, and I really enjoyed playing with him. He's a fun guy to be around, even outside of the field and outside of the locker room. So I look to Jordan Grove being the MVP of the game.
And I love Jordan, and I think he's a great football player, but I think Xavier Omond would take offense to that, as well as a couple other guys. So,
well, they may take offense to it, but it's my opinion.
Right,
that's fair. That's fair.
Ryan.
That's fair. That's fair.
I can have an opinion.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
All right, some other games.
Sit over there.
What's your score prediction for this game?
A lot to a little. Like very little. Like I don't see the Nebraska if they could go no, I'm just kidding. I won't go that far. No, but I think Kearney might get a couple points, maybe even 10 points at the most, but Northwest probably puts up at least 35 at least.
Okay. All right, so that's what Max has. Other games are on the MIAA this week. Missouri Western at Central Missouri for family weekend. Emporia State at Missouri Southern. Washburn at Lindenwood. Fort Hays at Central Oklahoma, and Pitt State at Northeastern State. So that's what games going on there. All the games, see Western, you see them there at 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock kickoff for Northwest and Kearney. 6 o'clock for the Emporia and the Washburn games, and then 7 o'clock for the other two games down in Oklahoma. So a lot of varying kickoff times here from the MIAA this weekend. I think I picked pretty much all the road teams besides Central Missouri to win this week.
This is really a top half of the MIAA versus the bottom half of the MIAA week.
Yeah.
I think
The only exception being Fort Hays UCO, really.
Yeah, and that might be an okay game, but I've got Hayes in that one.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty much top versus bottom this week.
I think Fort Hays is the second best team in the MIAA.
Yeah.
It's hard to disagree with that. I agree
with that. I think UCO is middle of the road though, and not bottom.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
kind of what I was more credit to UCO and the Chos than Fort Hays.
The Chos.
They can't spell Broncos right. All right, they're the Chos.
You know, they have such a nice school because when we
Yeah,
traveled
got a
down
nice
there,
stadium too.
we went there and it was an awesome stadium. I was like, man, if only they could pack this place. If only they could have a
Like
bunch of
200
people there.
people.
But I mean, the school's like 15,000 kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big school, but it's like, man,
Yeah.
they have so much potential there. And plus, they're in Oklahoma, the surrounding Oklahoma City area.
There were, I would say, there were less than 1,000 people at that game.
Yeah, they said there was about 2,000 to 3,000 people. I remember AD turning around.
Yeah.
There ain't more than 125 people here.
There
What
were-
the heck are you talking about?
Does that include all the players on the field, the refs, the equipment boys, everything else on the
Yes,
field, including
that
the stands?
probably
There-
that had to
media.
have been.
There was having been at that game last year, there were more Northwest fans than there were UCO fans.
At least, yeah.
It's always fun when you see that going to games like
And they're-
that, or going even just
Well,
to
yeah,
St. Joe,
but
Missouri Western. You outnumber the Griffin fans.
The interesting thing was that the Northwest fans didn't necessarily pack the visiting stands. All right, there were quite a few, but it's a long trip from Merrickville to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But there were quite a few, more than I expected, but they didn't pack the visiting stands necessarily. But there were more Northwest fans than UCO fans.
I'll tell you what. I think that was probably the best road trip in terms of food, because when we got there, we had the bar. We stopped in like Emporia-ish to get a Subway sandwich, whatever. And then after that, we got to all-you-can-eat barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
That was for dinner. And then our post-dinner snack, which was, as aggressive that as is, we had Whataburger, 2 big cheeseburgers, Whataburger. And thankfully, I knew I wasn't playing that next day. I was the alternate, and I just sat there in my room at like 55 degrees just watching college football and going, oh, boy. And then I think we even got
pizza.
No, we got steak and shake or milkshakes before the burgers too. So,
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
and then the pre meal, like the breakfast, and they have this one guy, I can't remember. I feel bad because I don't remember their name, but they make really good food. They catered food. They brought it all the way down to Oklahoma, and they they travel with Northwest everywhere we go. And even after Lindenwood, they got us these like St. Louis concrete things. They're like the malts or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, talk about, I downed the whole thing. It was probably like 1,500 calories. But
Yeah, talk about that was probably an 8,000 calorie day. Good grief.
oh yeah, I won't go into too much details about what anything else, but it was a lot. It was great going in.
Talk about a cheat day.
It was great going in.
All right, and that's going to be it for our show today. This weekend for Bearcat Athletics, of course, volleyball has a game tonight when they play Arkansas Fort Smith, down in Arkansas Fort Smith. That game is tonight at 7 p.m. Soccer is 6 p.m. tonight at Missouri Western. Tennis, of course, has their invitational in the next couple of days here in town on campus. So a lot of good things happening. Northwest football team going up to Kearney. So that's going to be it for our show this weekend, as we'll see you again next week, 2 to 5 on WSK. And, of course, this is KZLX 106.7, also on KNWT Channel 8, as we're going to end the show this way. Bye, Max. We'll see you next week.
Bye.